Thanks very much, John. So some people might wonder why I'm I think this is a competitor. So why am I standing in front of a competitor's screen? I guess, well, it's good timing because on Friday, despite having that momentous vote, the Brexit vote, the results coming through at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, we were on stage at Cannes following an initiative about a year ago, actually, with Al Gore. Every year at Cannes, which is our advertising Oscars, I do a thing called the Cannes debate at 12 p.m., midday on the Friday, and we do a session. And last year, I interviewed Al Gore on climate change. And at the end of the interview, it wasn't planned. I was going to actually ask him whether we should put a challenge out to some of our clients. I said at the end of the interview last year, why don't you and I, Al, issue a challenge to all the CEOs of the holding companies, so including the company that this lot are a part of. And I said, why don't we issue a challenge to the other 5, myself included, to come together to support climate change. Well, for reasons I don't want to go into, it was felt that we couldn't get Al Gore and Ban Ki-moon onto the same stage, but we got Ban Ki-moon, amazingly, to agree to come to Cannes. On Friday at 12 o'clock, he made a brief speech, and Zainab Badawi interviewed actually 5 of us, because Ishii-san, who's the CEO of Dentsu, so you have WPP, Omnicom, Publicis, IPG, Dentsu, and Havas, the CEOs effectively of all those, said with a campaign called Common Ground. We launched the campaign on Friday using paid for free media, Group M, our media operation, put that together. We all got together on the stage and we said, common ground. We usually compete, but on this particular occasion, and in relation to the SDGs 17 development goals, we're all agreed. So that's the reason that I'm sitting here in front of a competitor's branding. But having said that, let me just, because the FT were asking me just a little bit, Polito, on behalf of the FT, was asking me a little bit about, what do we do? So just our annual report, our world-renowned, actually we came top of the world last year with our annual report, which featured African art. This year we're featuring Cuban art. You'll see it on the front pages. Actually, that's from a wall, a graffiti in Havana, which still exists. I can attest to that. But you'll see pro bono work that we do, a lot of it having to do with climate change and the SDGs 17 goals and sustainability as well. So this is what we do on behalf of ourselves, and this is what we do on behalf of clients. And you will have noticed that we came top again in Cannes. It's the 6th year in a row we've come top in Cannes as the most creative holding company. But you'll see very interestingly that a lot of the work that wins is work, I can put it like this, for good, which is interesting, and a lot of it has to do with climate change. So when we talk about the role of the creative media and entertainment and advertising industries, which is the long-winded title I've been given, in driving climate action, we already do an awful lot. And in fact, our people love doing it. And they love getting awards for it. And it does resonate very much with clients, as you would. And I would just preface this by saying, everything I say can be summed up, in my view, in one sentence. And it was a sentence that John Brown, who used to be the CEO of BP, said at Stanford Business School in 1997. And he said, doing good, if you're in business for the long term, doing good is good business. And I think with all due respect to conferences like this, we over-intellectualize the process, and it's very simple. So climate change can be seen as one of our greatest challenges in the communications industry, and it's highly complex, and in some markets, an extremely politicized issue, and you don't need me to tell you that. Communication is key to changing attitudes and behavior in relation to climate change, and our sector has a vital role to play. Marketing is a powerful tool which can raise awareness, it can change opinions and influence behavior, as we saw and didn't see in the Brexit vote. Our industry is in a unique position to work with clients to address the challenge of climate change, promoting greener products and services, raising awareness of the impacts of climate change, generating support for climate regulation, or encouraging behavior change itself. So while there is a great potential, not all past campaigns have got it right. And there have been too much focus, or has been too much focus, on fear and guilt that can stimulate apathy, not action. It's essential that we tackle this challenge and get it right, because climate changes represent a major threat, as you know, to business and society, and its effects will be magnified by a number of other disruptive demographics, social and environmental megaforces. While society needs are greater, the resources we have to meet those needs are more finite than ever. In demographics, world population will, as you know, reach 8.5 billion by 2030, meaning more demand for food, land and resources, and strain on infrastructure and public services. And there's a wonderful map, moving map, which tracks the aging of populations through to 2060 and shows that, the part of the problem, obviously, is the aging of the population. Demand for food will rise by about 23% by 2030, and pressure on resources means potential for rising prices, lower living standards, and supply chain instability. For example, there's a 50% rise in global energy demand by 2035, a 300% increase in demand for timber, 68% of people living in water-stressed or water-short areas by 2050. And there's a strain on ecosystems. On current trends, by 2050, the world's oceans are expected to contain more plastics than fish by weight. By 2030, 660 million people are expected to be severely affected by climate change. And from 2030, climate change is expected to cause 250,000 additional deaths per year. Climate change means that GDP per capita will be 23% lower by 2100. So those are those dreadful statistics. And many of these forces are disruptive to current business models. Most current business models are based on the linear take, make, dispose economic model. They rely on large quantities of cheap, easily accessible materials and energy, and it's a model that is reaching its physical limits, as you know. Access, not ownership, is important to millennials or centennials. They want access to products and services without the burden of ownership, encouraging sharing economy models. And at the same time, we're seeing rising expectations among citizens, customers, investors, employees, and employers as to the role of business in society. You only have to look at Brexit to see that. And it is important for brands to get this right, because citizens are also your customers, who are also your investors and your employees. What's your purpose? That's a critical issue. Citizens expect businesses to play an active and positive role in tackling global challenges alongside governments, business not in isolation. Employees, especially millennials or those centennials, that's the Snapchat generation, want to work for companies who share their values and don't want to work in the way their parents did. Research by Deloitte, for example, clearly shows that. 56% of millennials have ruled out ever working for a particular organization because of its values or its standard of conduct. Investors are also, albeit slowly, waking up to the implications of climate change. We're starting to see divestment from fossil fuels by long-term investors such as the Rockefeller brothers and Harvard University, though mainstream industries still are overexposed to fossil fuels and petrol or diesel or cars. CDP, formerly the Carbon Disclosure Project, investor initiatives are backed by more than 827 institutional investors representing in excess of $100 trillion in assets. And 90% of market capitalization has been lost by the 4 biggest US coal companies in 2015 due to the drop in coal prices and clean energy options becoming more competitive. That's from Goldman Sachs. What's interesting, actually, was the California retirement plan decided to reinvest in tobacco, if you may remember, because they had lost out in terms of returns and felt that by reinvesting they would be able to more engineer change. So it's a bit of a two-way street. These trends all mean major challenges for businesses who are not able to adapt and change their business models. But opportunities for disruptors and existing businesses who are able to identify and prepare for the opportunity are obviously clear. There are significant commercial opportunities to be had from the transition to a low-carbon economy, with some low-carbon technologies already reshaping global industries such as lighting or energy or automobiles. In the UK, the WWF has said that the transition to a low-carbon economy could create 190,000 new jobs, increase GDP by 1.1%, mitigate climate change impacts, and eventually bring down energy prices. Global analysis by Bloomberg indicates that $8 trillion, two-thirds of the total spend on new power generation capacity up to 2040, will be invested in renewable energy technologies. And Goldman Sachs forecasts that by 2020, 6 in 10 light bulbs will be LEDs, and car makers will sell 25 million hybrid and electric vehicles by 2025, 10 times more than today, a $240 billion expected market opportunity. Pioneering businesses are already taking the lead on switching to low-carbon technologies in both their products and their operations. Unilever's Sustainable Living Plan is designed to double the size of its business, reduce its environmental footprint, and increase its positive social impact. Its sustainable living brands have been growing at twice the rate of other brands. 60% of its agricultural raw materials are now sustainably sourced, and it has cut CO2 from energy use by 36%. IKEA, in the headlines today, is switching its whole customer lighting range to LED. With the IKEA Foundation, it has committed €1 billion for investment in renewable energy for its own operations and to support communities most impacted by climate change. M&S has already achieved zero net emissions. It is involving local communities in investing in renewable energy on its stores. 100% of fish that it sells is sustainably sourced, 100% of palm oil, 32% of cotton, and there's zero waste to landfill. Sainsbury's, a competitor, has installed 135,500 PV panels on stores, making it the largest multi-roof solar panel operator in Europe. Mars is going 100% renewable and working with others in the sector to help cocoa farmers adapt to climate change. And finally, BMW has reduced CO2 emissions from new vehicles in Europe by 40% since 1995, and will soon have 5 plug-in hybrid vehicles in its ranges. Now, in addition to these low-carbon technologies, smart businesses are also benefiting from new opportunities such as the circular economy. This can bring access to lower cost and more reliable streams of raw materials, lower waste costs, and opportunities from replacing sales of physical products with services that allow for longer and deeper relationships with customers. And this also has, obviously, a positive impact on climate. Ellen MacArthur Foundation report shows that most plastic packaging is used only once, and 95% of the value of it is lost to the economy. Capturing this value alone through closed-loop systems would be worth $80 to $120 billion annually. McKinsey and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation together estimate that circular business models could create a net benefit of $1.8 trillion by 2030 for Europe alone. At WPP, ourselves, we've also a long-standing commitment to cutting our carbon footprint and have made some good progress, although not enough. We've been working in this area since 2006 and have a target to reduce our carbon footprint by 47% to 1.8 tons of CO2 per employee by 2020. So far, we've achieved a almost 40% reduction, 39% to be precise, in our carbon footprint per head and avoided 83 million air miles. We purchased 21% of our electricity from renewable sources and are targeting 25% by 2020. We invest in new renewable energy generation in faster-growing markets such as Brazil, such as China and India and Turkey by purchasing high-quality carbon credits equivalent to 100% of our carbon emissions from air travel. In addition, our agencies, our constituent agencies, provide advice and communication services, as I've highlighted in this report, to many clients on climate issues. Why? Why not? That's is a campaign with Al Gore's Climate Reality Project that preceded Common Ground. 8 WPP companies were involved. The campaign video was seen by 160 heads of state at the summit's opening ceremony, and 400,000 people joined the People's Climate March through New York through it. Red Fuse, another WPP full-service integrated global agency, developed the hashtag climate change campaign for UNICEF on World Water Day 2016 to draw attention to children put at risk by climate change-related floods, droughts, and disease. Working with Ogilvy Earth, Ford Motor Company created the My Energy Lifestyle campaign to showcase how consumers can save 60% of their energy costs and reduce their carbon footprint by 55% by combining an affordable plug-in hybrid vehicle, mainstream smart home appliances, and solar energy generation. And many of our agencies have established specialist sustainability offerings and social marketing units to work with clients on sustainability issues, including J. Walter Thompson's Ethos, Ogilvy Earth, Young and Rubicon Group companies Inspire collaboration. So those are examples of where our agencies are making specific efforts. Despite this progress, we all need more to engage citizens, to engage consumers on climate change. And we need to adopt a positive approach that empowers people to take action and highlights innovative, appealing, and practical new solutions. The success of brands like Tesla Motors shows that people want exciting new climate-friendly alternatives, and there is a great opportunity for innovative brands. So in summary, our industry can provide and play an important role, and we need to focus on the following. Firstly, bringing our clients the insight and strategic advice that they need to develop the right strategies and to deliver low-carbon innovation. Secondly, reframing the debate to be about positive action, empowering rather than frightening or shaming people. And thirdly, finding new ways to engage and inspire consumers and citizens that motivate them to take action and to get involved. So let me just finally, I'm on the Bloomberg Foundation, Michael Bloomberg's foundation. He has been a proponent of many changes, and we had the privilege of spending some time with the chairman of the World Bank a week or so ago. And of course, what came across to me was that the impetus that we had gained on climate change through COP21 and other initiatives, the fear was it was being lost. And the fear was it was being lost because of the inability of the world economy to finance a lot of the climate change, the necessary climate change. So there was a warning bell being rung. And whilst I don't want to sound a gloomy note, but it came up in conversation with Polita from the FT earlier, obviously the Brexit decision, trying to link current events to what we're talking about, the Brexit decision will not help either. If the Brexit decision lowers growth in the UK, which I think it does, and probably lowers growth a little bit less so, but still does in the EU and lowers it in the world, obviously the ability to fund such significant changes as climate change, which is the primary challenge that we all face, will be reduced. So I finish on a negative note, maybe a stimulatory note for the panel that I think we're going to join. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.